Hey, it's Jim Marshall here with the Cottage Country Insider podcast. Now, we haven't done a lot of podcasts lately because it's summertime and everybody's busy in the summer, and trying to get guests in the summertime has been difficult. But we have our very special mortgage broker that we've been dealing with for about 5 years, I think.
It's been a long time.
Samantha, and she came right here live to Perry Sound, and we're going to talk about the current mortgage market. So, how has your last 12 months been since the rates start going up?
It's been unique for sure. People are stressed. People are, concerned about what's going to happen. I think there's a bit of reserve on purchases and stuff like that, maybe. But overall, I think people are managing because we did have obviously the
stress test?
Thank you, the stress test.
Yes.
So that did save a lot of people because obviously you qualify them 2% higher. So
that was one of the things when that came out, Samantha, that a lot of people in our industry had, government interference and all that. But I said, this might save people from themselves.
Oh, and I think it has.
And I think it has. I think it's, it might not be needed anymore.
Yep. With
very possible. With rates being where they are.
Yeah.
Right now, if you're doing a house purchase with a 5-year fix, you have to qualify for what, an 8% mortgage?
Anywhere between 7.35 to, I would say, 8.35, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's a purchase. Refinance is 8.5. So it's quite high right now for sure. It just depends on what program you're looking to do. Like, insurable rates are obviously better, so you're qualifying for a little bit less. But yeah, refinances are definitely mid 8s for sure.
When you talk about a refinance, you're talking about when your mortgage term is expired and you're redoing it?
Yeah, or you want to take money out or need to refinance some debts or anything like that.
Okay.
Any changes to your mortgage, basically.
Okay, where are you seeing the best deals right now as far as mortgage lenders? They seem to be all over the map.
They are, and they change probably every day. I get emails every single day. I would say the monoline lenders are still probably the best rates. Scotiabank was, historically they were always our best rates, but since then the banks have kind of taken a back seat and they're just slightly higher. But monoline lenders like First National, MCAP, those are probably where you're going to get the best promo rates for sure.
I saw one the other day, Meridian. It was Meridian and it was in the 4s. So that's going to be a lot. Well, we just had a client that I actually was talking to them, and it was on a cottage purchase.
Yep.
And I kind of said, well, see what they say. And of course, as soon as they found that it was a cottage purchase and it was a seasonal, it was a 3C. No.
And they're those rates that you see online that are like 4.99, they're very niche, I find. Like, they want to be in Toronto, like, have to qualify, your loan to value has to be really low, that kind of stuff. They're very specific on what they want for qualifying at that rate. Yeah,
and that's what we're telling people as well. Yeah. North of Highway 7, you might have some difficulty.
Might have a bit of trouble, yeah.
So let's go back to 2021, I guess was the lowest part. What's the differential really now between the rates? Because they're on average, because we know people that had mortgages obviously in the 1.8%. But what was the average kind of at the low for a 5-year fixed? 2.2?
No, I'd say like 1.99.
Oh, hold on. Oh, shoot. I gotta take my phone off of this. Hold on. That wasn't good. Here we go. We're back. Yeah, no, my phone breaks off to edit some of this stuff out later. So about 2%. And now your best you're looking at is about 5.34. So if you translate that out to a $400,000 mortgage, you're looking at an extra $1,000 a month, doing a very quick calculation in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty close.
Yeah. But you also look at this way, and in our market here, and everywhere in Ontario, everywhere in Canada it was different, where things kind of peaked. Our market here peaked May of last year.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
We were rushing stuff to the market that we were going to be waiting until later in the spring or early summer, and we're calling people saying, no, now.
Yeah.
Can you get ready in 2 weeks? They're going, humma, gas.
Yeah.
And we were getting these properties to the market much quicker because we saw, the end days were kind of on the horizon.
Yeah.
But what we've seen happen since kind of that height is we've seen things pull back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at if you're buying a house back in May 2021 here for $6, a house isn't costing you $6 anymore.
No.
A house might be costing you $5.
Yeah, I was gonna say like $455. That's what we're seeing kind of in Huntsville.
Yeah.
And I think people are having, the COVID hangover of, oh, well, I still want to get that extra 100,000. I still want to get that extra 75,000. So I think at least what we're seeing in Huntsville, I'm not sure about here, but we see prices that are still a little bit high for people and what they should be maybe. And they're sitting on the market for a lot longer.
Yeah, we are officially passing into a buyer's market.
Yes.
Because if you look at the days on market, which were back 2 years ago, as long as you were waiting for offers, if you have a 7-day wait period to look at offers, days on market were coming in 7 to 10 days. Now we're into months.
Yeah. I saw one the other day that was like 71 days.
We're getting stuff that's going, 4 to 6 months for some of them.
Yeah.
And it's all pricing.
Yeah, 100%.
All pricing. And we're telling buyers that about 90% of the market's overpriced. Now that's a very, very general statement, but if you got a basket of houses for sale or cottages in the area, it's probably more on the cottages. The houses are probably better priced. 1 out of 10 is properly priced.
Yeah. See, we see a lot of waterfront properties are still moving.
Yeah.
In Huntsville, it's the residential stuff that's listed between, $650 to $800 that isn't really moving a whole lot. But I've seen multiple offers on lower scale homes, like we call them starter homes now, but like the 450s to the 550s, like multiple offers coming in asking, stuff like that. So I think it's all about pricing, like you said.
It's all pricing. And we've been brutal with people with pricing when we're going in and talking to them. Yeah. They're saying, we just had what we're getting, and they had it, we sold it to them back about 3 years ago. They had it up for sale with a out-of-town agent. They had it obviously too high. We're getting the price down to where it should be. And we just said, here's 5 places that have sold in the last 3 months that are similar.
Yeah.
And they're all selling at this price point.
Yeah.
This is where you need to be.
Yeah.
The pricing right now is actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
And stuff.
You just have to be brutally honest.
You have to be brutally honest with people, and there's no testing the market or whatever. If you want to test the market, we can tell you exactly what the outcome will be.
Yeah. Set the expectation for sure.
Well, and people have to ask why they're selling.
Yeah.
Really? Are they
I
selling?
think last year would have been a different answer. I'm selling because I'm going to make an extra $100,000 on my house.
Or 2 years ago, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to make $300,000 tax-free on our house.
Yeah.
Be rolling in the hideout.
Yeah.
And now they're selling and we're getting some now that are selling because their mortgage costs have gotten too expensive.
Really? Yeah.
We're seeing that.
Yeah.
We're seeing that because they got caught in with variable rate mortgages. And with the variable rate mortgages, there was a lot of contradictory advice coming out from economists coming in from Tiff Macklin, the Bank of Canada.
Mortgage rates aren't going to go up.
And I was like, what? Because honestly, were you telling people that? Because we weren't telling people that.
We said, what I told a lot of my clients was what was coming out at the time. So, they said interest rates aren't going to go up for another couple of years. And if they do go up, we're not going to aggressively push it. We want to get them to pre-COVID numbers, which at the time was like 3.95 Bank of Canada rate. So I did the math based off of that, which in hindsight, who knows? And then once they started increasing them, we reverted pretty much back to fixed, just to
change
the way you're doing the tactic. Yeah, because it depends on when you got your variable rate, but during the times when I bought a property in 2021 and I got a variable rate, it was 1.5. My rate was 1.5. So for, a chunk of time, I saved tons of money on interest rates. You make extra payments, you do all the things to kind of catch you up. And then if you have a, the adjustable variable rate, which adjusts your payments while the interest rate goes up, it's almost beneficial for you because it's not going to be sticker shock. Versus we have clients coming in right now that have renewals from a fixed rate from 3 years ago, 5 years ago, where their payment's going to change anywhere from $800 to $1,200 a month. So they're like panicked because they all of a sudden have to change. Versus the variable rate, as much as it does suck, you've gotten used to it over time.
But the problem with that is, what are the amortizations effectively going to with those?
So only 3 banks do the where the interest only adjusts, the payment doesn't adjust.
Yeah.
So any variable mortgages that I ever did didn't do that. Your payment always changed.
Because that's a really scary thing,
it's
where
you're
going to start
now.
getting your amortization period of infinity.
Yeah. Well, I've seen clients who are at 40 years or whatever, and it's great because your payment doesn't change, but then you've kind of muted yourself. Yeah. But yeah, just as an example on my own, like I'm still at 16 years amortization because my payment's gone up and I did the extra payments when it was low. So it doesn't affect it hugely, other than obviously the payment.
Well, we've got a mortgage when we bought the house, and of course used Samantha and her company as the mortgage broker. When we bought in February 2020, the beginning of COVID, we put a mortgage on because we owned some real estate at the time. We've subsequently sold the real estate. So I've got the mortgage here and the money, 3/4 of it to pay it off.
Yeah.
But my incentive to pay it off, because our mortgage is 2 and a bit points.
Yeah, we did a fixed rate for that.
We did a 5-year fixed on it. Yeah. And this is at the beginning of COVID, because we didn't know what the hell was coming down.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
And we probably wouldn't have bought it if we knew there was going to be a global pandemic. Called 5 weeks after we bought it. And it's like, but it's worked. But my incentive to pay the mortgage off is kind of, because it comes due in about 22 months. So if I can put a bit more money aside, because right now I can take that money and put it in a 5-year GIC.
And make money.
So there are people that are in those situations like us, where it's like, when it comes to, obviously we'll pay it all off in 2025, but my wife wants to pay it, Kim wants to pay it off, but I'm kind of, I don't know, like it's just not costing us a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think that's why we did so many bigger mortgages for individuals like yourself, where it's like it doesn't make sense for us to pull equity or pull investments out where we're making more money than we're paying.
Yeah, exactly.
So we did a lot of those bigger mortgages, say for $1 million, $1.2 million or whatever it was, because it made sense at the time. So I think it will be interesting, come 2025, 2026, of what's going to happen with those bigger mortgages. And see what the rates are at that time.
Yeah, well, we cannot predict the future. The thing that I always look, I took economics in university, so I've got a little bit of knowledge, very basic knowledge how this stuff works. But when you started to see in 2021 what was happening with the supply chain problems, with the gasoline, with groceries, you knew that they were not going to be able to sustain, because you're going to see exactly what happened with inflation. Oh, yeah. And I lived in the 70s and 80s, and I remember 20% mortgages, late 70s, early 80s. I remember 14%, 30% inflation through the 70s. Those are really, really shitty times. Yeah. We do not want to go back there. No. So what's your take on inflation going back up to 3.3 then? Because that's the number they put out yesterday. I think that's just, I think the number coming down to 2.8 the month previous was just an anomaly. I think it came down to, well, you're putting 30-day fixes on these things. Yeah. Stop shots. Yeah. So you're going to, the way down is going to be bumpy. Yeah. So, the 3.3 yesterday, I kind of went, meh. Yeah. I think some of the stuff, I think fuel prices have to resolve. Oh, and food prices. And there's a correlation between food prices because you got to ship food. And if your fuel costs are high, and if diesel cost is high, because you're shipping everything by either plane, train, or automobile. So, I think that will resolve over the next little bit. Yeah. The war going on in Europe right now doesn't help. No. I think that will resolve at some point too, because I think that this thing's not going to end. No. I think they're going to be 5 years time doing the
Wow.
same crap to each other.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be a resolution to that. So I'm optimistic that things will look better in a year, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to be patient, and there's going to be some tougher times ahead, for sure.
For sure.
Doesn't mean that you can't buy or can't sell. It's just you have to go at it with a different mindset
Yes.
now than you did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because everybody back then was like, I'll buy a piece of real estate, I'll hold it for 6 months, and I double my money.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable.
No. And I don't know if we'll ever see that again in our lifetime.
Well, I've seen it once
You've seen
before.
it
I saw it in the
once?
late 80s.
Yeah.
So we were selling cottages when I started in business in the late 80s. Average probably about 40. That went to about 110, 120 in the 89, the real estate bubble.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to get over that.
Right.
So our market up here really didn't improve a lot. It took about 5 years.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to see that.
Well, they didn't have the structures that they had in place that they have in place now than they did back then as
No.
well, right?
Very, very different.
Yeah.
Very, very,
And very different lending policies and different.
Well, you couldn't get mortgages on cottages when I started.
Yeah.
They just look at you and go, ha ha.
Yeah.
I'm not lending on that. So we did VTBs and things
Yeah.
like that.
And
And that's some of the stuff we're seeing now with some of the properties now. We're seeing sellers offer VTBs. Why not? If I get 10% or an 8 or 10% on a VTB when
Yeah.
inflation's running at about 3,
Yeah. Yeah.
why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
So there's money to be made there with private lending, whether you're doing it as a vendor take back or whether
Yeah.
you're doing it as an investor.
Yeah.
It's certainly better than the stock market right now.
We have seen a lot of the need for more private lenders. And a lot of private lenders are what we're finding is we're struggling to get people out because qualifying is so much different than what it was last year. So, whether it's a builder's mortgage or a short-term solution, like it's proving to be a little bit more difficult to provide a mortgage at the end of it.
What we're not getting though is we're getting people that need to sell. Obviously, we're seeing that.
Yep.
And it's usually people with variables that got caught, or the mortgage costs have gone up double, and they don't have the financial. It's just not comfortable to do it, so
Yeah.
they're getting out. But what we're not getting is calls from mortgage lenders in the city, lawyers, whoever's
Yeah.
important, saying, can you do a drive-by in this house at XYZ, Forest Street and Perry Sound, and blah, blah, blah. We're not getting those calls yet. And
Yeah.
realtors all talk, and we always have these conversations. It's like, are you getting those? Because we're not getting them yet.
That's good news.
Which is really good news. Because in the late 2000s, we started to get them before
Right.
COVID started.
Right.
Because we were hitting into recession in
Yeah.
2020 probably
Yeah.
before COVID.
Yeah.
Because we started getting those calls, all the things that we look at as far as precursors.
I wonder
We're there.
what the reasoning would be then, because rates were 3.5 before COVID, fixed rate.
I think the economies were slowing down. I think there was a lot of stuff as far as economic stuff, and they
Right.
maybe some people were having some problems with whatever. But we were
Interesting.
starting to get some calls, but we're not now. If you look at some of the other markets around, I was talking to some people at a thing on Friday about the Muskoka markets, which again is, I always say, our cottage market is the wealthy. You get down there, you're the ultra wealthy. you're the Robin Leach lifestyle, the rich and famous.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So their $12, $15, $20 million stuff is just trucking along.
Yeah.
And same with the construction down there
Yeah.
with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
meh.
My brother works for Mazanga and he's doing massive builds.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive builds. And just one after the other. So yeah, it's
But the
that's not
but the mid builders have time now to talk to you.
yeah. Because
So
where 2 years ago they did not.
yeah, so we'll put you on the queue. We'll talk
Yeah.
to you in 2025.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or 2024. Now
Yeah.
they're we deal with a lot of the big builders around here, and they're saying that they have. You want to come in and do a build, we might be able to fit you in this fall, which
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
We're still not seeing the building costs come
No.
down yet.
No.
So
It went down slightly and then it came back up a little bit.
we're still about $500 a square foot, and when you're mortgaging that, yeah,
I think the days of building a home to then turn around and sell it for a profit are probably gone.
bye bye. Yeah.
Especially with the land prices. To buy the land itself is expensive,
and that's part of our problem right now. Our land went up in price incredibly through COVID.
So did ours.
We had lots over in Orville that we couldn't sell for 40-50 grand that were having bidding wars and selling for 130 from 1 acres out there. That now if I went out, I've got one right now for sale, bid over 100.
Yeah.
Nothing.
How many days on market?
We've been on since May. But it's the same with everything. All our land right now is tough to sell.
Yeah.
Whether it's commercial land, whether it's residential, waterfront, because of the cost to build.
Yeah.
So, maybe the prices of those have to come down a little bit if the cost to build don't come down, just to kind of get that started again. Yeah. So all you can do is price.
Yes.
To get things
very
going.
Important. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, it is a buyer's market. So it's nice for we obviously pre-qualify everyone, and then it's nice for them not to be in a complete and total panic all the time and then feel completely deflated because they've bid on 8 houses and haven't gotten any of them. So you would know this better than I, but it's probably a good time to dip your foot in the water. And,
I think it's great. And there's deals out there.
And there are deals out there.
Oh yeah, we're starting to see them.
Even though interest rates are high, that's not going to be you're not going to be mid-5s forever.
No,
you just have to get it through.
Here's a good question, and I promise you I wasn't going to have you make predictions, and I won't. But do we go back to where we were in 2019, 2020 at the end of this? Because I don't see us going back down to 2%.
Oh God, no, I don't think so. No, I think it'll be my broker of record has been. He's 70 years old, so he's
he's seen it all.
He's seen it all. So I had a chat with him the other day, and he said if you can get your clients into a 5-year fixed. Low 5s, do it, because he doesn't think that things are going to get much better than 4.5. And in hindsight, 4.5%, that's, you know what I mean. If somebody told you had 4.5% on a credit card, you'd be laughing, you'd be stoked, you'd be happy.
My first mortgage was 14.25.
Yeah. So I think the further we move away from the COVID interest rates, the more normalized, the 4.5 will be. I think it's all very scary right now because it's all we hear about. You see it on your Instagram page, you see it on the news, you see it literally everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's increasing payments, but that's what they want to do, right? They're trying to slow everything down, and it needed to slow down.
It needed to slow down. It was crazy.
So yeah, I think it's still a good time to buy, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. Get your feet wet if you can afford it. Do it. But yeah, interest rates are going to be high forever.
Part of the problem we're finding right now is we've got a couple properties that are perfect multi-build-a-families. And we've been dealing with one piece of property locally, and they've been dealing with since November trying to get financing, try to raise capital. Mm-hmm. There is no way to raise capital right now.
Sorry, what is this for?
So this is for a multiplex.
Yeah, how many units?
6 to 8.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And they're building it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's it. That's it. So once you go over 5, you're into commercial mortgage.
Commercial. And it's big bucks.
And CMHC has a program out there, but they've been working with CMHC for the springtime. So part of the problem that I see with the housing crisis, if we're going to call it, when we look at the rental stuff, is the access to capital needs to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they need to be smarter on what they lend on, right? We've seen it where maybe off-grid properties or solar, and it's so hard to finance, but it's so sustainable.
Yeah.
It's absolutely sustainable. So I think that type of thing needs to change. And then, like you said, 6 units, that should be a no-brainer in my opinion.
Can't get the money. We've tried. But it's they can buy the land. The land's the small component. The land's the 15% component.
Right.
You need the capital to get the building up.
My brain's working. We'll talk about
we'll talk about it later because it's been really frustrating. So we have this housing crisis.
Yeah.
We got the federal government that's put that we have to build X amount of housing in the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. We got Doug Ford saying, we need more housing and all that. But there doesn't seem to be any movement at the government end, whether federal or provincial, to create any incentives to build affordable housing. And that's really what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
The provincial government and they've done it before. They did one in Parry Sound. They did a conversion over the old Parry Sound Hospital. and there was money involved from the provincial government. Would have been the Liberal government under McGuinty, or when it was probably McGuinty, where if they had 20% of the units at below market rent, they got X amount of money. So they had 62 units in there. They had 20% of them, I think it was 12. And then they ended up getting a huge amount of incentives, whether they're tax or whatever, to do the project. Nothing like that right now is available. And it could be easily made available.
Yeah.
Or programs. And it's more provincial, I think, than federal.
Do you think that they did that because that was a government building, or they sold it to these investors? And
no, these are investors that bought it. It was not a government building. So it was a group of, it was a company out of Brantford that bought it.
Right.
And they owned rental properties, and they knew how to do it. It's a massive conversion.
Yeah.
How do you convert the morgue into living space and things like that? Well, in a certain, because you got this internal space in it.
Yeah.
But they did a great job. It's 62 units of housing that this area desperately needs. If we lost that, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
But we've got investors out there that want to build other ones.
Yeah. But
there's 3plexes, 6plexes. It all part of filling in, because it's still hard to get rentals in Parry Sound now, and it's extremely expensive.
I was going to ask, what are you seeing in terms of rental prices here?
I'm almost saying they're coming down a little bit. We are seeing that ease up a little bit. We're not getting the bidding wars when a rental comes up, where you got 30 people showing up, which I think is kind of a barometer as far as the total economy starting to slow down a bit.
Yeah.
But it's still $2,000 a month to get something.
Yeah. So
you need 2 people that are working
full-time
jobs to be able to afford it.
Yeah. We're seeing like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2,800, $3,000, which is sickening.
But it's a supply side issue.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have enough supply, and we have people try to make supply, and the government says one thing, but they don't provide the resources at the other end. Yeah. We've had some talks, or I know people that have had talks with the provincial government on this stuff, and they've got their hands kind of, or they're busy with other things right now. It doesn't seem to be really on the radar.
No, the whole housing crisis as a whole doesn't seem to be on their radar. I mean, it seems to be on their radar. They talk about it a lot, but they don't
do anything
about it. It's always a topic of discussion.
And the federal government's the same. They don't do anything about it. They pay lip service. We need to build more houses, but how do we do that?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we have to redefine what housing is.
Yeah.
It's not always a single family house with a 40-foot lot with a big backyard.
No.
But there was a podcast I was listening to back in the springtime. I think it was Science Versus. Great podcast. It's out of the States. And they're talking about the housing crisis. And they're talking about, I think it was the state of Connecticut. 90% of the state is zoned R1 or low density residential.
Right.
So to try to build high density or medium density was almost impossible, because they didn't zone it that way.
Yeah. And you can't fit enough houses that way to house everyone. They need to go up.
They need to go up. You need to densify.
Yeah.
So you look at the way the housing's gone in Parry Sound the last several years. There's not a lot of single family, but there's a lot of high density condominium, 3-4 stories, because that's all we have the land for here.
Yeah. I would say that we're probably on track to do that as well. We're seeing more condo buildings go up, but we didn't have very many to begin with.
We've got a lot more now than we did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We've gone up to 350, 400 units, I think, in the last 10, 12 years that we didn't have for a town of 7,000 people. That's significant.
I don't know about here, but our condo buildings, I did a application for somebody whose condo fees were $907 a month.
See, our condo fees are low here. Typically about 4 to 5.
Yeah. And that to me would make sense. But $900 a month, that's...
Depends on what you're getting with it. Sometimes they put taxes in. Yeah. In Parry Sound here, you've got water and sewer charges, which is a capital charge, $120 a month.
Right.
So if you got $400, then a third of it, or 30%, is your capital charges for water and sewer. But the condos they built here in Parry Sound are fairly, they don't have a lot of bling. There's no pools, there's no whatever, and that's the stuff that costs money with these things.
Yeah. We only have one condo building with a pool down by the lake in Grandview. Those big ones that are like going for like 1 point something. But yeah, they're just, that's why I struggle to qualify people who are looking to buy a condo who thinks it's a little bit cheaper. But then you add, you know, the $500 to $1,000 more. It's not.
Well, for the condos in town, you're looking at about $1,000 a month if you get your condo fees, your taxes, and then what you're putting in for heat and all that.
Yeah.
But the buildings here in town, the newer ones they're building, most of them are ICF. They heat with basically you put a candle in a couple rooms. They heat. They're really, really, really fuel efficient or efficient.
Yeah.
As far as the way that they function and all that.
Which
so,
is good.
You know, not everybody wants to live in a condo.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have townhouses here, which is a problem. We don't have a lot of semis here, which is a problem.
We got a lot in the past few years.
Yeah.
We did,
You have more land in Huntsville.
It's getting chewed up
But
quickly.
you know, Parry Sound's this.
Yeah.
Huntsville is this.
Yeah.
So
and Parry Sound has lake.
It's got the lake here. You've got the highway, the railways. You have Seguin. You've got McDougall, and those are rural townships that really don't want to industrial or urbanize.
Have you seen a change in that? Because we've seen a change north, like Novar, Berks Falls, like they're heavy on we want the development.
Seguin is.
Yeah.
Seguin is. Seguin's got a new. They've had a lot of change of staff.
Yeah.
And the people they brought in are really bright, and they've got a much wider view. The planner that used to work with Parry Sound got a job down there a couple of years ago, and I had a chat with him when he did, because I used to be involved more in the politics in Parry Sound, and it came up with this idea that, you know, they had this piece of land, or this area that was all with the holding zone. It was a subdivision that was done, kind of a subdivision about 50 years ago, but they never built into township roads. Yeah. So I said, why don't you go in there and build a township road and do a capital, you know, cost on each of the lot to pay for the road over 15, 20 years. Yeah. He laughed. He goes, yeah, we're doing that. I went, good. I said, I've been telling people that for years. Yeah. So they ended up creating about 25 lots down there to build. 10 minutes south of Parry Sound. They're all 1-2 acre lots. Yeah. They're beautiful. Yeah. They're not swamp or just rock. Yeah. They're nice forested lots. So Seguin's doing some really interesting things that we're seeing. Yeah. But the lot creation right now, if you come into a severance, is still about a year. And it's about $20,000 you're paying per lot to do it. Yeah, it is about a year. Yeah. Yeah. So not quite quick enough. It could be much quicker. Well, especially with how quickly the market's changed over the past year. Like, we bought lots to sever last year, and it's a completely different market from what it was. So it's definitely not a get rich quick thing if you're looking to do that. I think long term it's good, but you know, if you're looking to quickly turn it around, that's I'd still look at buying land and doing the same thing. Yeah, yeah. But you know, I'm not going to be doubling my money in a year and all that. I think our mindset has to change from what we had through the last 3 years. You know, it's just not going to happen anymore. No, it's not like Bitcoin or anything like that. This is reality. This is the way things work. Yeah, and it did take a while. Like, I would say my mindset changed probably like May. That's when it flipped and was like last May? No, this May. This May. Where it's like, okay, we're not in. But see, we had a busy spring. We kind of thought, oh, this is like the dead cat bounce. Yeah. And we were busy and we were selling stuff again and all that. Then our market started, we got to June, slow down. And we figured, okay, this is normal. We usually slow down a bit. June, people have weddings, graduations, things. They're not going to get real estate. And then July never really picked up. No. And it's like, well, this is interesting. Then we got to August, and it's been slow, but we're still doing business. Yeah. But we're not doing a huge amount of showings. There's not a lot of good stuff out there. Yeah. So when we're doing showings, we're looking at generally one place. I'm doing a showing today at 1:30. We're looking at one place. I did a showing on the weekend. It was the only one that really worked for these people, and they did an offer, and we're working through that process right now. Yeah. So there's still stuff that's out there. Yeah, I'd be interested to know your opinions, because I see dips as soon as they raise the interest rates.
like my calls just like go down tremendously. And then once it's been kind of steady for a while, I see, you know, an incline in inquiries and purchases and stuff like that. So from a real estate perspective, do you see that as well in terms of like when the rates change?
What we're seeing people when we're talking to people is that it's like there's not a lot for sale.
Yeah.
That's it. And we're going, yes, we realize that.
Yeah.
There is a lot for sale, but there's not a lot for sale.
Right.
Like if you want to buy a single family home within 15 minutes of Perry Sound now and keep the price under 8, you're looking at 1 or 2 homes maybe.
Right.
And then you're looking at a lot of them that are just overpriced.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Over. That's the only way to say it.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing, if we look at the daily sheets, 4 new listings, 9 new price adjustments, 2 sales.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Every day the prices are coming down.
Yeah.
So people are getting it.
Which is good.
Agents are finally getting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
Is everybody kind of thought, well, this is the new normal. It's like,
No.
no, it's not.
So agents' mindsets are just changing now.
Well, some of them, yeah. It depends on who they are. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and again, being experienced as I am, we've seen this happen before.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen 4 economic in my years, and we had a run from 2008 until now.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Some insane amount of time that we've gone.
And
26 years.
yeah,
Sorry,
and
16 years.
interest
16
rates
years.
stayed relatively low during that time as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
We didn't see the interest rates spike up. We didn't see any major
No.
recessions. We saw the market die in 89, July 89. We saw it die in 2000, 2001. It took a big hit, first with the dot-com and then with 9/11.
Yeah.
9/11 happened, and it's like, I'm taking the rest of the fall off because nobody was going to buy because nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then 2008.
Yeah.
But when that happened with us, that was the end of the year. It happened in October, which is our traditional, we're wrapping stuff up.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure what the spring of 2009 was going to be like. And it actually ended up, 2009, it did better than 2008.
Yeah.
We did fine.
It's funny how it works, eh?
Canada did really, really well with that recession, or
Yeah.
you know, or the subprime in the U.S. was brutal.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't think we had the same policies as they did down there.
No, our policies are much more conservative, much more regulatory.
Yeah.
It saved us.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's gotten even more conservative since then as well. Like I've seen a lot of changes even in my 7 years of being in
Doing
the,
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gotten, it's hard to get a mortgage, so if you have one.
But it should be hard to get a mortgage.
should be.
It should be hard to get a mortgage.
I know.
It shouldn't be easy. You should, and the things that we preach to people is like, with cars.
Don't buy one. Or don't overbuy, don't overspend on one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Live within your means.
Yeah.
Don't take that, family of 4 to Cuba
Yeah.
for a week and finance it. If you
Yeah.
can't afford to pay cash for it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Take them to the Great Wolf Lodge or something instead.
Yeah.
There's other ways you can do it.
Mhm.
But no, people
No.
like spending money.
But I mean, so my boyfriend he's in heating, so he needs a bigger truck to pull the trailer. And he's like, I can't even get into a new vehicle under 100,000 right now that'll pull the trailer that we need. So, it's vehicle prices in general, they're just outrageous. And then, you finance $1,000 a month for a vehicle, that's $100,000 worth of mortgage money right there, or a little bit more. So.
Not only that, but it's your debt service ratio.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you have that vehicle and now you qualify for 400,000 versus 500,000.
Yeah.
So I see it all the time. People driving around nice vehicles and they unfortunately it euchres them.
We do that where a young couple, and they both pull in their beautiful, Jeep Laredo and their F-150 Lightning, and
Yeah.
oh,
Oh no.
oh man, you guys are gonna be able to afford this.
Yeah.
Because you guys are paying $2,000 a month on mortgage payments,
Especially
or on a car payment.
especially when they both have them. Yeah, there needs to be some form of education. College level where it's like just buy under your means for right now and just, but
It's so easy to do.
It's so easy to do. You don't need to provide a pay stub, T4, nothing. You can get approved for a $100,000 vehicle.
What about people with their credit scores? Because it's amazing how many people don't know what their beacon is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I use Equifax.
Yep.
Is the one that I use, and I also have used one called Credit Karma, which
yep.
is a free one.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give them some of your personal information. But
yep.
do you recommend those for people just to keep an eye on what their beacon is?
Yeah, for sure. It's always a good tool to have. It doesn't necessarily reflect the actual beacon that I'm going to see, though. Because I've had people who say, oh, I'm good, I'm at 720, but they're actually at, closer to 650.
Because it's historical?
It's historical, and we're just a little bit more detailed.
Yeah.
But it is good to keep track of, okay, what did my balance register at this month? I need to bring that down next month. Oh, shoot, I missed a payment here, or, my payment's coming due. It's good to keep track of that kind of stuff because you can, if you have multiple cards and you're juggling them, maybe you might forget or whatever. So I definitely recommend monitoring it somehow, some way. But Credit Karma's good. There's also another one, I can't remember the name of it, but Equifax, I would say, is more true to what we're going to see, for sure. But, all of them are good. If you're monitoring it, I think you're on the right path, one way or another. Because a lot of people don't.
Because I'll ask people, what's your beacon? And they kind of go, and it's like, here's a couple things you can check, just to kind of give you an idea of where you are with stuff. Yeah.
And I always tell people, monitor that stuff. If you're looking to buy a home in the next year, keep all your documents on hand. Keep track of what you actually make, because I have a lot of people who actually come to me and think they make more than they do. Or, they're not 100% sure.
$120,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good if you're thinking of doing that, buying a home, budget, because it's not just the mortgage payment, as you know, it's the taxes, it's the heat, the hydro, literally everything, natural gas, water and sewer. So it can add up pretty quickly. So it's definitely good to budget and keep track of all that stuff.
We've used one called You Need a Budget, which is a really interesting, if you're going to do the work on it, see what your actual spending is, and you can set budgets for certain things and take a bunch of money and just kind of, it's like putting in the cookie jar. Yeah. It's like I got $1,000 for groceries this month and things like that. Yeah. So there are some things out there. I think it costs $13 a month that you can hook up with your bank accounts and get really granular what you're spending. It's amazing people don't know what they spend.
Oh, right. Subscriptions. I just went through mine and I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
For what? Like TV?
Yeah, just TV, music. Yeah. I had a subscription for audiobooks. I had a subscription for, just random apps that you could just kind of forget about and, that add up for sure.
I sometimes pause my audiobook. You can with Audible. You can pause it. Yeah. Where I've got 8 credits. It's I'm fine for a while, and I'll just pause it for 6 months or whatever.
I didn't know you could pause it.
Yeah, you can pause it.
I should do that.
If the book sucks too, you can return it.
You can.
Yeah. I've had a few. It's this is a turkey.
And I had no idea. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do that with one book that I'm reading or listening to right now. Yeah,
I was trying one that somebody recommended, and it was a health related one. It sucked. It was just boring. Yeah. It was a lot of those self-help type books. Yeah. Just say it. Yeah. Intuitive words. I get it. You don't have to keep saying it.
It can be one chapter and you're good to go.
I'm good to go. Yeah. I got it.
Especially the finance books, I find that. I've tried to listen to a few, or self-motivating books where it's just the same thing over and over and over again.
What do you like with that?
Honestly, I'll listen to a motivational podcast or something like that and just be really motivated for a week. And then you have to listen to another one and just keep that momentum going. But a lot of times, it just sparks new ideas for me. I write them down and try to implement them into my process, so...
Is there anybody specific, author-wise?
Not really. I was listening to, there's a podcast, I Love Mortgage Brokering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, for everyone else, it's super exciting. No, they just always have a lot of good ideas and stuff like that, and I'll just, take little snippets of what I want to implement, so.
I'm a bad realtor. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. Yeah. And I used to listen to some podcasts or whatever about real estate, but
Yeah.
you know, for me, reading is generally an escape.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. And
So
same
I
with
don't want-
podcasts too.
Yeah.
Like I normally do it when I'm driving home to just like turn off my brain, because as you know, when it's busy, you don't want to think about real
There's a
estate.
good
or
marketing
mortgage
one that I like. We've listened, and actually we've met him before because he lives up here, lives up in Magnetawan. They call it Secede, called Under the Influence. It's a CBC one.
I think I've heard of that one actually.
Yeah, Terry O'Reilly.
Yeah.
You want ideas on marketing? Because this is marketing, you know, the Donald Draper type stuff, and he goes right back to, you know, the 60s with all these, you know, these advertising companies and all that. Gives you wonderful ideas, but it's not specific to real estate.
Just in general.
Just in general, and they're entertaining and they're funny and As
I find some of the general ideas, like, it doesn't need to be real estate or mortgage specific. It's just with, you know, connecting with people and seeing what people like. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of, you know, talking to people, you know, through, you know, when somebody says we think we're buying a house, and, you know, we could probably tape a lot of those conversations because the advice I give people tends to be fairly consistent. Yeah. You know. Yeah. You know, how much you're looking? Have you gotten pre-approved? Don't deal with a bank. These banks suck. Lately
it's been bad.
It's retail banking, and the problem is, I think the biggest problem is they haven't been able to hire people and train them properly just because there's a labor shortage out there.
Well, from my understanding, you don't have to be trained at all. So,
really? Okay, well that would answer some questions.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you might have to take some licensing courses within the bank. And again, I don't know this for 100% certainty, but I'm pretty sure. But like a mortgage rep who works, say, for RBC, for example, I don't think has to have the same qualifications as I do.
Yeah.
Like I have to take the course, I obviously have to pass the course, and then each year I have to do essentially relicensing.
Yeah, continuing education.
I have to do a course every year, I have to take a test every year. We have to pay insurance, we have to do this, we have to do that. So I'm pretty sure they don't have the same, you know, steps to do mortgages.
Well, we're telling people right now, just because of the differences from bank to bank to bank to bank, as far as their 5-year fixed rates or whatever. You do not want to just go to the bank and they go 6, because like what's TD now? 6 something.
TD's high.
6.2.
TD's high. Scotia's high. Like my lowest Scotia one's like
5.5.
No, 5.99.
5.99 now.
But that's an uninsured. So I think insured is, like you said, like 5.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all different and they change all the time. Would
it be worth, if you're doing and you're willing to take the chance, not to, because I think the variable now is at about 7?
Yeah, it's usually prime minus 0.2, 0.3. Insured is still prime minus 1.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, but you're still going to be at 6.2.
Yeah.
So I haven't quite gotten there yet where it's smart to go variable. I mean, I think we're at like the peak, maybe. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed in September. Yeah.
They should hold it in September, but that's just my opinion. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think what we've been telling people, if you're comfortable with the 5-year, if they go down over the next 5 years, they'll be going from your 5 whatever down to 4 something.
Yeah, it's not going to be dramatic.
It's not going to be dramatic.
No.
So you're probably, again, if just so you can sleep at night, take the best you can do at the 5. I think that's the best advice we can give people.
Yeah, I think so as well. And we're still doing a lot of 3 years, just because that's what people are comfortable with. And at the end of the day, if I've learned anything from this whole like variable rates raising thing, like do what you're comfortable with and just go from there. Because nobody can tell the future. So, you know, in 3 years...
No, not even Tiff Macklin. Nobody can.
Exactly. So do what you're comfortable now. Like, there's no point right now in planning for the future because we have no idea.
Just plan on 3-5-year increments and figure out what works.
Yeah. And if you can afford it now, go for it.
Is it worth anybody... certainly not worth breaking a mortgage, but... is there any way that if you have a really low, I'm trying to think how to phrase this, if I have a really low mortgage, is there any portability with those mortgages?
Yeah.
So if I have a $300,000 mortgage on my $500,000 house, and I want to buy a $700,000, I can take that mortgage along with me.
Yes.
And then either come up with the cash for the difference or blend the rate.
Yes. Yours is specific. Like yours is with, Scotia, and they have a really good program where yours.
I'm not looking to move. I'm just saying in general.
I'm just going to use yours as an example.
Kim would be really pissed off if they start talking about selling the house.
Yours can stay as is, and then you just add a second portion to it. A monoline lender, you'd more than likely port it, and then, like you said, pay off the different portion, either with the proceeds of your sale or whatever, or blend and extend.
But if you wanted to pay off the mortgage, it's only a 3-month interest prepayment. Your interest on that's not really a lot.
No, like right now, that's usually what the penalty is.
You're looking at about $3,000 to $5,000,
depending on
to get out of your ultra low interest.
Yeah,
they should be paying you to get out of it.
Yeah, they should be for sure. They should be for sure.
Any other advice you want to give people right now?
I don't know, like you can cut this, but I think people should be taking what they see in the news with a grain of salt. Like the scariness of it all, it's uncertain for sure, but it's not detrimental like they're saying, if that makes sense.
It's not detrimental to everybody.
To everyone, for sure.
Tend to generalize these things.
They do, and when they say, mortgage rates are going to go up to 20%. Like I've heard that before, and that's not going to happen. So,
not when inflation is running at 3.3.
Exactly. Yeah. So educate yourself. Call your mortgage broker if you need to be talked down. Like there's options. You can always, if you're in a variable rate and then you have a shorter amortization, you can always extend your amortization out to drop down your payments.
So you go up to like 35?
Depending on what you signed up for in the beginning, but you could go back to 25 or 30 depending on what you're at. So that's an option.
Well, the one thing that people don't realize is if people get into trouble with a mortgage, banks don't want to own real estate.
No, so call.
So talk.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've had clients call and say I can't make this mortgage payment, and I say okay, well, we're going to call the bank, and they handle it. So.
Bank is more than happy to add that.
Yes, for sure.
To your mortgage principal.
Yeah. Call your mortgage broker if you're stressed about anything or whatever, and you just want to run scenarios. Like that's what we're here for. So.
Yeah. Like it's not like, and again, a lot of people think banks are banks.
Yeah.
Like they're not evil.
No.
My only criticism of the banks is that they don't have really good people that work, well-trained people that work.
Well-trained.
So, the training of them is really lacking, and that's why we use mortgage professionals like you, because this is what you do for a living.
Yes.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? Just your website?
Or my phone number.
Or your phone number? We'll put those in the show notes.
I like chatting with people on the phone.
Well, we talk all the time,
We
too.
do talk all the time.
And it's just the exchange of information. So when we're talking to people, we're more knowledgeable. And, of course, you can call me anytime if you want any of my advice.
Yes, I do.
No, but I'm just saying people in general. Because, we do bring a lot of things to the table. We've been through this stuff before.
Yeah.
And I talk some people down from the ledge as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes. It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm sure you see it all the time, and I see it all the time. It's just the uncertainty of everything. It scares people, and I totally understand that. And
the information overload
exactly.
that you get. Like yesterday the stock markets were down 1.8% because of bad news out of China. Today they could be up 1.5 because of good news out of Brazil or whatever. Don't go by the day-to-day stuff.
Yes. Everyone's going to be okay. We're all going to be okay.
We're all going to be fine. There's no zombie apocalypse on the horizon. So thank you very much for driving over today.
Thank you.
To do these personal ones more often.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. And enjoy the rest of your summer.
Yeah, I'll try.
And
it's almost over.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know. We take off in 6 weeks for Greece, so we want to get some summer somewhere. So we're not getting it here with all the rain we've had. So
I know it's been gross, but that'll be good.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, that was good.
And I'm just going to turn that off. Well, it's